What's up guys, I'm NOOB-Genesis and this is from Sniping Noob to Sniping Pro. Now today we're going to be looking at a class setup guide, and before we do that I just want to talk to you about how I'm going to be doing this. Instead of having a whole bunch of classes all just jump together into one video, I want to actually break them down individually. So I'll have my main feed class, my objective class, maybe my iron sight class, all different ones set up in different groups. And today we're going to be focusing on the main feed class. The reason I want to do it like this is so that I can break down all the perks and attachments individually, or at least the ones that are relevant. That way you can get a better idea and you can make a choice for yourself, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. No matter what, this is Black Ops 2. It is so diverse, everyone's going to have their own opinions and the way they want to play. And that's the main thing you've got to adjust for. Always make sure you are comfortable with your class. So with that being said, let's get straight into it. First we're going to go into custom games because I have everything unlocked. What do we got here? Oh yeah, that's a great sniper class right there. I use that one all the time. Alright, let's just get rid of that. Alright, first up, I'm not going to be discussing the difference between snipers. I'll probably make another video about that. For this example, I'm just going to be using, let's just go with the DSR. There is obviously differences when you're using different snipers for which attachments you should use. Obviously the DSR has a smaller clip, so extended mags is more useful on this than say the XPR. But let's get into that a bit later. First up, we will start with the attachments though, and obviously first up we have the suppressor. No. Just no. Do not use the suppressor unless you are specifically trying to make your job a lot harder, because on all the snipers, it just screws with them. Although I have heard that the XPR, I think it was, doesn't get affected as much, I'd still just stick away from suppressors in general. Next up we have the ballistic CPU. Now personally I have this on every class. What it does is, obviously it says right there, reduces the weapon's sway when aiming, and it is quite a noticeable reduction. You've probably used it before, and if you have used it before and you prefer it without, that's fine. It does take up an attachment slot, which is understandable if you don't want that, but personally I'd always recommend it. I love it, couldn't get enough of it, which I am going to be chucking it on this class. Next up we've got zoom. Now I don't really see the point in it. Like, obviously as it says, you've got the two different zoom levels, which I think is better than how it used to have 3, but I don't really see the inner zoom that useful, and personally I think it's a bit of a waste of an attachment slot. I would rather use it on something like full metal jacket or extended clip, possibly laser sight if you're into that, or possibly dual band. But for this, no variable zoom. Next up we have fast mags. Now this is my main feeding class, so I am specifically going to be going for feeds, as the name says. I'm not going to be using fast mags. This gun has a 5 clip, and if it was the ballista I'd consider it, but I'd still prefer the extended clip on that as well. The XPR, again, you can use the fast mag, but I prefer the extended clip because you don't want to run out of bullets when you're on like a 3 or a 4 streak. You just want to keep on going. So fast mags I'd rather save for an objective type class, which I'll get into that when I make that class guide. Full metal jacket. Now this one is a very debatable one. Personally I see it definitely has a lot of perks, it definitely has a lot of benefits, but it still takes up an attachment slot. Now, you're going to be the one who has to decide whether or not it's worth it. Because personally, my two choices are going to be ballistic CPU and extended clip. So, a lot of people want the laser sight, a lot of people want the full metal jacket. If you want to have 3 attachments, that's fine, that's your choice. But personally, I only use 2 attachments because I'd rather save the rest for perks. And for this, as we were saying, full metal jacket, it is definitely a good attachment. I've used it, I love it on hijacked. Hijack, you can wallbang so many different positions when they're camping up in the top buildings or when they're in that side wall opposite of the spar. You can get plenty of wallbangs through there. I played one game where I got about 28 kills and about 14 of those kills were wallbangs. And it's all thanks to full metal jacket. The ballista, it does benefit from it, but obviously it's harder because you still got to hit them in the chest and higher. But the DSR definitely has a huge benefit from it, and the XPR, while you still have to hit chest up, also has a huge benefit from full metal jacket because you can spray that thing through a wall. It's beautiful. It just spray, 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 and like I said, that spot opposite of the spar you can get tons of kills through there just from spraying the XPR. And I know that can be pretty newbie, but it does look pretty cool when you just do it in 2 bullets, or 1 bullet even. Next up we have the ACOG, and as you can see it's got the little exclamation mark in the triangle, and that's because we've got the ballistic CPU on. ACOG, you all know what it's for. It's for if you want to use an ACOG. You can use it like that if you want. Personally I prefer the proper zoom, but it actually does provide a bit of variety into a montage if you have some of that as well. It is good fun, and with the DSR it's pretty damn deadly at close range. I haven't actually tested out the zooms, whether it's faster or not, but I'd presume it's around the same. So that is again a personal preference, but it would be good to see that in more montages. Next up we have the extended clip, and this one for the DSR I think is a necessity. Obviously you've got 5 bullets, but to make it more consistent, you never know. You might get 1 or 2 kills, run around a corner, and there's 4 guys. What you going to do? If you don't hit a collateral, you are only going to get 3 of those people because you've only got 3 bullets left in your clip and you haven't had time to reload yet. So, personally, the extended clip buffs it up to 7. I'm pretty sure the ballistic goes from 7 to a 10, and the XPR goes from, I'm not actually sure, I think it goes from a 7 to an 11. But I could be wrong, it could be an 8 to an 11. Either way, I'd always recommend extended clip when going for feeds, especially when you're also going from spawns because they're going to be coming at you like no tomorrow. And in this class, I am going to be using my extended clip. But let's have a look at the others anyway. Laser sight. Now this one's always got me intrigued. I personally haven't used it that much. A lot of people tend to like it, and I can see why. In this game, it is a very close quarters game, and the scoping in takes a bit longer. So being able to hip fire and get that easy kill is pretty crucial a lot of the time. However, I don't see it as completely necessary for feeds. Feeds, you're going to want to be in a good position and you're going to want to take them out pretty quickly. But if you have people in your face that much, you're probably not going to get a feed. You're probably going to get killed, or the first person who is up in your face is going to get 1 or 2 bullets in them, like into you. And then after that, you're going to go for the next 2, but one of them only needs to land 1 or 2 bullets left and you're dead. So personally, I don't see the laser sight as that special unless you want to specifically have a hip fire in your clip, which again does look pretty cool. And then we have the dual band. I actually quite like this. This is easily the best thermal scope in my opinion, and it really does highlight people. And the actual view, like the little dot that you have, is very accurate, it's clear, and all around it's a great sight. The only problem with it is you can use it with a ballistic CPU, but that means you're going to have to use an extra attachment slot, just like with the full metal jacket. And I'm not really too big on that. I would rather just stick to my 2 attachments and that's it. If you want 3 and you want to try out the dual band, I highly recommend giving it a go. It is a great attachment, just not my cup of tea. So that's my attachments. Next up we'll have a look at perks. And the perk 1 slots we have lightweight, hardline, blind eye, flak jacket and ghost. First of all, I just want to say, ignore blind eye. I will be covering a blind eye class, specifically when people have load stars out, and it'll be a class just to avoid being killed by kill streaks when your team is getting destroyed. So for this one, just for your feeding class, leave out blind eye. On that note, hardline does not do you any good for feeds. Obviously what it does is it gets your kill streaks faster, or sorry, score streaks faster. We don't need that, we're going for feeds. So the viable choices are lightweight, flak jacket and ghost. Personally, I use lightweight or flak jacket. Ghost is very nice to get into their spawns, and honestly if it's ground war I would more recommend it, but then again flak jacket's pretty important when it comes to ground war with all those explosives flying about. But me personally, I still use lightweight. It gets me to my destination faster, and personally when it comes to feeds, all 3 of them don't affect me as much as some of the other perk tiers. So I use lightweight and flak jacket mostly. Ghost, I'll throw it on occasionally, but it's not something that I've unlocked permanently. Lightweight, again, you can get to your spots so much faster and you can throw your enemies off guard. It's like when people use juiced in MW3. That, in hindsight, is a terrible death streak. The others are so much more beneficial. But when you're playing up against good players, it threw them off because what they do is they predict where you are going to be. They predict where you're going to spawn, and then they'll just meet you in the middle. But juiced and lightweight throw them off by that bit so you can get to them so much faster and take them out. And again, that's why it works for multiple purposes, and I like to use lightweight. But if I'm in a lobby And this is another thing that's big. It all depends on your lobbies, not just your gameplay, but your lobbies. And if I'm in a lobby where I know that they're throwing them around, like throwing grenades and explosives around like crazy, I'll change it to flak jacket within a heartbeat. But for my basic class, I'm going to be choosing lightweight. Then we have our perk 2 tiers. We have toughness, cold-blooded, fast hands, hardwired, and scavenger. Now, again, just like blind eye, I'm going to be leaving cold-blooded out of this because that is, again, something I'm going to be putting on my anti-aircraft or anti-kill streaks class. And then we've got the leftovers. So I'll start off with hardwired. Hardwired is one that people often overlook because it doesn't seem that useful, but you do get some people occasionally who like to throw their EMP grenades away. And those EMP grenades will destroy your kill streak view. You cannot capture it if you're using a capture card, and I'm not sure how well it works in theater mode if you can still see the captures or not. Oh, sorry, the kill feed. So that one can be useful. However, how useful it is compared to the other perks in this slot, I don't think it's quite worth it. Then it's the same with scavenger. In fact, you don't really need the extra ammo. You're going for kill feeds here. You need the ammo in your clip, and that's it. Scavenger, not really that useful. But the two that I tend to debate against which one's better is toughness and fast hands. When it comes down to it, toughness is the better choice. However, I use fast hands and toughness. I use my perk 2 greed. Because toughness, obviously, you're going to get shot at a lot. This game has SMGs and they hurt like hell. And furthermore, it's a close quarters game. They're going to have an easy shot on you. And you don't want to be flinching all over the joint when you're being shot at. Toughness helps. Well, it helps relieve that. You don't need to, you can survive those shots for a little longer and you can keep your shot on target. That is very helpful when you've got 4 guys coming at you that you want to get a quad feed off. So that one I consider the most important, which I'm going to be selecting. However, as I said, I'm going to be using perk 2 greed. And this is a purely personal one. I like fast hands because I use attack insert and I like to place it fast. It takes quite a long time to place attack insert and I don't want to wait for it. If I normally place it right near the combat, and as soon as I die, I want to get straight back in there and start shitting on people. I just want to destroy them. And fast hands obviously helps with that, which is why I always select fast hands. And again, I don't really see these other perks as that useful. The only time I won't use fast hands is if I know they're throwing tons of shock charges and stun grenades, because in that case I'm going to want to use flak jacket. I'm going to use tactical mask instead, and with the perk 3 greed. But for this class, as my default, I'm going to be using fast hands. Next up, we have perk 3. Now, we all know that dead silence and awareness are not that useful in this game. They nerfed sound whoring, and I'm using Astro A40s, and I can't hear shit when it comes to footsteps. I can, but barely, and they're definitely not worth a perk slot. So we'll rule them out. Next up, we have Engineer. I don't see the point. It's a good one if you're running and gunning, but nowhere near as useful for going for kill feeds. Extreme Conditioning. This one I'm going to leave for now because I would rather put this in a First Blood class. It's useful, a lot like Lightweight, but just like Lightweight, there are a lot better things to use. The two that I want to talk about is Dexterity and Tactical Mask. Now, everyone knows Tactical Mask is a godsend in this game. The amount of concussions, flashbangs, and shock charges, mostly the concussions and shock charges that get thrown around, is ridiculous. And how long they last is also ridiculous. So, it's almost a necessity to have Tactical Mask at some points. However, you've got to balance it against the necessity for dexterity. Now, a lot of people have a personal view on this because, well, statistics are statistics. This one is supposed to make you aim faster after sprinting 50% faster, I'm pretty sure it is. And some people will notice it, some people won't. Or at least they will notice it and not think it's good enough. And you know what, that's fair enough. If you're one of those people, use Tactical Mask. It's a very good perk. Personally, I use Dexterity over Tactical Mask. Because later and later into the game, we're getting less people with those stupid shock charges, and same with Bouncing Betties, because people know how to counter them a little better, or they're more noticeable. But that's just a personal thing. I think that's the case. It may not be the case on Xbox, I'm a PS3 player. It may not be the same case in your country, I'm a PS3 player in Australia. But for me, there's a lot less shock charges around nowadays, and Tactical Mask, I don't think it's as necessary. Still very useful, but not as necessary. Dexterity, on the other hand, I like to climb faster. I like to aim faster after sprinting. I was a person who used Steady Aim Pro in MW3, so I'm going to definitely choose Dexterity. Which leaves me with just secondaries, lethals, and tacticals. But first I'm going to go with tactical. Obviously, I've already said it, tac insertion. I love tac insertion. I almost can't function without it. I did my first prestiged. I made the mistake of unlocking, what was it? The XPR, because I'm like, I want to get my guns diamond, and it's better if I don't have to wait for as long. My god, did I regret not putting tactical insertion as my first permanent unlocked. In this game, it has good spawns in my opinion, and you are going to be running for ages if you have not set it up right. So tac insert, I think, is the most important. But you cannot overlook both the concussion and shock charge. Both of these are very useful when going for feeds. Obviously, you want people to slow down. I think one of my latest clips that I hit was, I think it was a split feed. No, yeah, split feed. It was a teammate who concussed. They concussed 3 people. I hit the first one beforehand, ran around a corner. These 3 people were just standing still. And it was all thanks to this guy's concussion grenade. They were not going anywhere, and I just easily picked them off 1, 2, 3, right next to them. They couldn't turn on me or anything. It is, quite frankly, overpowered in my opinion. Same with the shock charge. But again, you're going to have to make that call, whether you want a concussion, shock charge, or tactical insert. I highly recommend the tactical insert. Next up, we have 1 perk left. Sorry, not 1 perk, 1 pick point left. Now, a lot of people like to use secondaries, a lot of people like to use bouncing betties or combat axes, C4, and if you're using concussion grenades or shock charges, you might want to add an extra to that. Pretty much all of those are fine. This is a free slot. You can use whatever you want. However, there is one thing to take into consideration when people are using pistols. Obviously, the pistols in this are damaging as all hell. They will get you a lot of kills. But we are going for feeds in this class. We are not going for gameplays. We are not going for objectives. We are going for kill feeds with our sniper rifle. Or, as I like to see it, we're going with more impressive kills. And in saying that, what I use in my final one is combat axe. And that's because you can use it straight after. You don't have to wait for your bolt to reload, just like with a pistol. But pistols look less impressive. You can get a cross map with the combat axe. You can get a nicely timed one before somebody comes around the corner and then finish it off with a 3-piece. All round, I think it's just better for montages and clips. So you can use another one. And in fact, I'll be using pistols for my objective class, but I'll be using the combat axe. Which pretty much ends up wait, no. There's one more thing to look at, sorry. C4. Obviously, by the end of MW3, C4 shots became pretty popular. And if you don't know what that is, that's where you throw your C4 into the air and quickly quickscope it in midair and then get kills with the quickscoped one. A lot of people try and do a double tap straight afterwards to make it look like they hit the C4 with their sniper shot, but you can straight away see them reloading and it's highly doubtful that they did it. But if you want to do C4 shots, I highly recommend using the C4, but if you're not very good at it, go and practice in private match first. But again, I'll be using combat axe. And that pretty much sums up this class. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Remember, it's always down to your choices. This game is very diverse and everyone's going to have their own opinions. This is my kill feed class. And you may not agree with it, you may agree with it, you may only take some things out of it, that's up to you. Either way, have fun and I hope you've enjoyed my guide.